And this kind of brings this point of social learning and social collaboration really to the fore. And I think that this is a really critical aspect of where we're going in the future, and the vision around how we can learn in the future. Collaboration, 7%. I mean, that is really a very effective learning method. And I think that's something that we really got to bear in mind as we go forward. So why is all of this? So what we think is that it's because of this, basically. How we're interacting within our environment, the way that those multimodal messages are coming into our bodies through sound, through vision and touch, smell and taste, etc., is really an important barrier or filter to how we begin to trigger those neurological processes and cognitive functioning. And that obviously has an impact on how we remember that learning, how we reflect upon it, and our cognition. So, in other words, the more senses we can actually impact upon, the more that cycle of learning will be supported as well. So that connection between physiological and cognitive functioning is very much the kind of drive of what we're trying to achieve in the research that we're doing at the Serious Games Institute. So at this stage, I would normally show you a clip, and unfortunately, I haven't had time to be able to upload it because of the download time, or the upload time rather. But what we've done in the Serious Games Engaging Training Solutions is to explore this idea around how immersive environments need to actually be. So this game, and if you can get onto the Blitz Games or the TrueSim website, you can actually probably have a look at this yourself online. But the idea is that you're a medic, there's been a bomb that's exploded in a busy urban area, and you're the medic arriving, and you have to sort through casualties in order of priority. So in order to do that, you have to label them correctly in terms of, do they need to be seen immediately, or what order they need to be seen in. You have to check their vital signs in a particular order, and you need to do that within a certain time frame. Oh, thanks, Jeff. I'll give you a link there. So we evaluated this game, which is a very immersive environment, and obviously the sound is very good, the images are extremely high fidelity. And here are some of the findings that have emerged from the study. We did the trials at that time with participants were NHS or National Health Service, doctors, nurses and paramedics. They were all using the MIMS training course, which is established training for emergency response. And it was part of importantly, it was part of a blended learning solution. So it wasn't a standalone game. This is part of a face-to-face learning environment and course. So those were the triage game, 47, and the non-game were 44 participants, randomly distributed. These were the two conditions that we used. So it was basically a tabletop exercise versus a game. And here were the results. So we had from the tagging. So that was whether you said that you had to tag these different casualties in order of priority, so whether they had to be seen immediately. That was significantly higher in the context of the game. You had to check their vital signs in a particular step order, and that was also significantly more accurate in the game than the non-game condition. And then the time undertaken, there was no significant difference, but what we found was if we'd given 15 minutes extra for people to get used to using the game, then there would have been a significant difference as well. So that was quite powerful evidence to show the efficacy of serious games. On its own, maybe that study wouldn't be so impressive, but our results have been published in the Journal of Resuscitation. But with the other large studies that have gone on, which have also shown a significant difference, we feel that that's actually quite a powerful result. So why is it that it has been so powerful? Well, we believe that it enhances learning and that it crucially improves the transfer of training, the transfer of learning, which obviously is something which is quite difficult within learning, as many people here will know. And the reason that it's so effective, we believe, is because that environment is more realistic. So that transfer, the distance of transfer between the training and your actual application is actually quite narrow. Also, it's a very realistic environment. It allows you to make errors. You can repeat things, and that gives you a kind of level of feedback that you wouldn't be getting. So from the studies, what we have deduced is the importance of feedback, and this is where we start to get into the assessment side of things, and this is where we begin to see the power of game-based learning. So what the studies opened up is a lot of questions, of course, as well, about how we actually start to analyze studies in the future. And so I talked about the ward of infection game, that was with the nurses and the hand hygiene. I've talked about the triage trainer, which was aimed at doctors and emergency workers. The third case study or demonstrator that we developed in that Serious Games Engaging Training Solutions project was called Patient Rescue. And this was around the idea that in the UK, new doctors come onto the ward in August, and at that time you get a death spike because they're misdiagnosing particular illnesses. So basically, if you're coming to the UK, don't come in August, is my advice. Or if you do come in August, make sure that you don't get a serious illness. So what we tried to do was to model particular ailments or illnesses within an environment that would allow doctors to test and to learn before they go into the ward. So that's something which is, as I say, the third demonstrator. So that is this hasn't been productized at the moment, but it's something which is in the process of development. So we haven't actually we've undertaken a small evaluation of that, but we're looking for more funding in order to further develop that demonstrator. But I think what we've seen from all three is the power of using these immersive tools, and also the power, essentially, of feedback to support learning. The other project that I wanted to just quickly touch on was this project on childhood obesity. And here the issue is, in the UK, I'm not sure if it's the same in Australia, but in the UK, a lot of children are overweight, and a lot of it is about understanding about food, obviously, and having a more balanced diet, and a lot of it is about lack of exercise as well. So what we wanted to do was try and create a game that would allow kids to be a little bit more active. So we developed, or rather, Warwick University, in conjunction with us, we were in charge of the evaluation side of things, and we commented as well on game design. So the idea was to use a Wii game to try and make kids physically a little bit more active. So the idea is, and I can't use the clip right now, but the idea is that you're throwing objects using the actual Wii controller. So you're getting a lot more physically involved, and you have to select food which is more balanced, and get rid of food which is less balanced for you, and put together these kind of things, and then you go to different levels. So it's been quite an interesting game. The preliminary environment evaluation showed that kids really did enjoy that, and that they did become a little bit more active. But in terms of whether that led to solid improvements in terms of weight loss, we haven't actually done that evaluation yet. But I think it's something that we'd like to do. The other game I wanted to touch on, and this you can find at the PlayGen's website, that's www.playgen.com, is the Climate Health Impact game. And here the idea is that you're a biochemist and you have to make choices over issues which impact upon global healthcare. So you have to find out about different kinds of illnesses like malaria, for example, and see what the vector is and try and control the spread of particular diseases across the world. So again, it's another role play game. So I think what we're seeing here is obviously different kinds of games that are available, and how you can use those in different kinds of ways.